Hello and welcome to another episode of GDL Google Developer Live Israel. This episode we are going just to elaborate a bit on the server side that we showed in the last episode of the mobile web app with AppScript. And basically what I would like to do is to show you the code that we are leveraging in AppScript inside our Google Sheet when we are coming to build a server side that will enable us to manage our content that later on will work with and show inside the mobile web app. So let me share my screen. And as you can see here, this is how doc is look like. And you can see here that I'm having few fields that I will ask my editor to fill for me. And in a minute, we'll see how easy it is to work and get an address and basically calculate automatically from it the geo longitude and latitude. Here, for instance, as you can see, let me make it bigger. I'm just concatenating using this function. So the value of column D will basically be derived from column B and C in this case. And here I'll just go and fill the addresses that I would like. In this example, it's in Hebrew, but of course you can imagine that it will be in English or any other language. The thing about it will be that basically you'll be able to work with this, and Google Geocoder will work with every or any language that you will be able to input here, and we'll see it in a second. So those are the input points that the editor will fill for us, and then what we'll need to do is go here to File and basically click on Publish it to the web. And the nice thing here is that we could choose several things when we want to do it. So once I'm clicking here on Start Publishing, you can see that I have here the timestamp of when it was first published, and from this minute, any changes that will be made will be automatically because I click this checkbox. And here I could basically check and see if I want it as a web page or maybe as a Atom feed, RSS feed, and other things. If I'm doing things like exporting it as RSS feed, here at the end, if I'll change it from RSS to JSON, it will also work. So for us in the front-end development world, to work with JSON object will be much easier and nicer, and we don't need any library to parse Atom feeds or RSS feeds. Once I'm doing that, I'll go here to Tools, and I'll basically click on the script editor. And as you can see here, I'm jumping to a new tab that letting me work with AppScript. Now here, I'll make this code just a bit larger, and we'll go over it quite quickly because it's a very simple self-explanatory code. What we're doing here is basically on open, I want to add a new menu item. And let me go back here and show you. Here I have a new menu item that I created for my app. So my editor, after he or she are filling the details here, it's good to be able to show them on a map. So when they are clicking, the script is running in the background, creating a map. And as you can see, I have markers on the map that just showing visually that what we did is the correct. And of course, at the bottom, we have a widget that containing a table with all the details. Now, in the script itself, this 4 or 5 lines of code, basically just adding this menu to the spreadsheet and allowing me to execute the station location map function. Actually, I need to put a better name there, but it's okay. In the function itself, what I'm getting is basically getting a handler on the current sheet that I'm going to work with, and in our case, it's the Geo one. You can think about scenario when you want to keep revision of a history data, and then maybe you will add more and more sheets to this main doc. After that, I'm going and I'm using the getRange function, and basically I'm just focusing on a portion of this spreadsheet just so I'll be able to get the station information. In my case, I want to get the address and then the city name because from the combination of those two, I'll be able to compose the address. Later on, I'm just calling a static map object, and of course creating my UI. The UI is the dialog that you saw that we presented the user after we gather all the information. And then I'm creating another grid object that's letting me put the raw text information below the map, so it will be very clear which markers belong to which station. And then there's a simple loop that just going over those lines with addresses, adding them to the map, as you can see here, with the marker info. In our case, that row will just contain that row and column, so the cell itself will contain the geolocation, and it's very easy to use the add marker with a geo point just to put it in a certain place on the map. And for the grid widget, of course, we'll want the full address and the name and all the other things. Here, there's an interesting thing that I would love to show you, and I'll put a breakpoint, and we'll go into it in a second, and that's the new geocoder object that will basically allow us to get the address and to extract and gain from it the longitude and latitude. You could get actually more geo information out of this, but in this example, we'll just focus on these two because that's what we need to create our basic app. Let me try and run it in the debug mode and show you how it's working. So here is the function that I choose, and now I'll click debugging. In the first time that you run it, you'll get a very big dialog that just warn you and ask your permission to do so. I did it in the final rehearsal to this show, so it doesn't prompt it now to me, but after you acknowledge it for the first time, it will work on each and every run. As you saw here, I just got this breakpoint, and if I'll, of course, go over geo results, you could see here that it's undefined. But if I'll just give it the permission to pass it, now you see here that in geo results, if I'll click on the plus sign, basically we got two things. One is the status, and luckily for us, everything is okay. So that's why here on the next line, I'll just make sure that it's okay. If it's okay, I can parse the data. If it's not, I want to log it, and it's here. And if it's okay, like in our case, you could see the results object that containing lots of different parameters. In our case, we have the geometry that containing bounds, viewports, location data, and lots of other things. And in our case, as you can see, I'm taking the longitude and the latitude, just the opposite of what I said. And once I got those two, I can release it and just keep running and getting a new point each time. We could click on the view and then basically see the logs. And as you can see, I'm using the logger object. And here, as you can see, I got the new geo point from the specific address. I can now just turn off the breakpoint and resume the run of this script. And after it's done, you see that everything is off from the debug mode. I can go again to the logs and see that for the 3 points that I have in the spreadsheet, I now have 3 geo points that I could use. One last nice little trick that we have here is that we're using Waze Web API. And if you are basically in your mobile web app putting this link, and the user will open your mobile web app from any mobile devices out there, and they already have Waze installed, this link will basically inform the device itself to open the Waze application with this specific point so they could navigate to this point immediately. The app itself, just to show you how does it look like, is live and it's here. And we have 2 versions of the app. One looks like that, and that's basically a version that is based on Twitter Bootstrap, so it will work on all the major browsers out there, i.e. Firefox, Safari, and of course Chrome. And another version of it is but just add jQuery file to the picture, and it will be here. And as you can see, it's more suited or more themed as a mobile web app with some nice features like an about page that is flipping and other things that you could do, like the buttons that will navigate and other cool things. Of course, the map here is fully functional, and the user can dive into it and get direction on points and lots of other things. So that's basically the major three components that I wanted to cover. If you have any question, now it's an excellent time to do so. And if not, just feel free to reach out to me on G+, on Twitter, on both of them. It's Greenido as one word. Let's see if we have on the Hangout chat some questions that people entered. I don't see any, so until next week, be strong and bye-bye.